Hi everyone. Today I'm going to explain something that sounds technical but is actually very simple once you see it clearly. It's called materiality in ESG. We'll cover single materiality, double materiality, why it matters, how it impacts ESG ratings and ESG reporting, and a practical high-level way to conduct it. And I'll also connect this to something very relevant in India BRSR. Because here's the key point. Most companies preparing BRSR are already doing a form of materiality analysis. It may not be perfect, but they are trying to capture it as much as they can. Alright, let's begin. First, a quick BRSR connection. BRSR asks companies to disclose their material ESG issues, especially issues that present a risk or opportunity to the business, and to explain why those issues matter. So, if a company is filing a BRSR and it has a table of material issues that company has already started materiality thinking, but in reality, many companies are still maturing in how they do it. Often, they list topics, but stakeholder inputs are limited, rationales are generic, KPIs are not tightly linked, and evidence is not always strong. That's why understanding materiality properly is important, because it helps you do BRSR in a more credible and defensible way, and it also supports ratings. Now, single materiality assessment. When you hear the word material, think of it like this. Material means important enough to influence decisions. Single materiality asks one main question. Which ESG issues can significantly affect the company's business value or financial performance? So, it's ESG viewed from the company's perspective. In simple terms, it asks, will this topic affect cost, revenue, compliance risk, business continuity, or reputation? Here's a simple example. Imagine a manufacturing company that uses a lot of electricity. If electricity prices rise or supply becomes unreliable, that directly affects production, costs, and profit. So, under single materiality, energy becomes a material topic, hollows. Another example. Suppose a company sells to large global customers like big OEMs or multinational buyers, and those customers demand ESG compliance. If the company can't meet ESG requirements, it may lose orders. So, under single materiality, ESG compliance becomes material because it affects revenue. So, in one line, single materiality is ESG topics that impact the company financially or strategically. Now, let's level up. Now we come to double materiality assessment. This is the more complete and modern view. Double materiality uses two lenses, not one. Lens number one is financial materiality, which is basically what we just discussed, how ESG topics affect the company. Lens number two is impact materiality, which asks how the company affects the environment and society even if the financial impact is not obvious right away. Here's the easiest way to remember it. Financial materiality is outside to in. The world affects the company. Impact materiality is inside to out. Bob so. The company affects the world. Now, a layman example. Imagine a factory that releases untreated wastewater into a river. Even if no penalty happens immediately, the impact on people, health, agriculture, and ecosystems is serious. That is impact materiality. Now imagine the opposite direction. New environmental rules come in, or customers demand cleaner production. Now the company faces cost, disruption, and compliance pressure. That is financial materiality. Double materiality says both lenses matter. Because a topic can be important either because it impacts the company or because the company impacts people and the planet. So, in one line, double materiality is impact on the world plus impact on the business. Now, why materiality is important? If you don't do materiality, ESG becomes a long, confusing checklist, and two problems happen. Problem one, you lose focus. You try to track 200 things and you track none of them well. Problem two, you lose credibility. If everything is important, then honestly nothing is important. Materiality gives you focus. It helps you say, these are our top ESG priorities, and here is what we're doing about them. And this is exactly where BRSR comes in. Many companies do include material issues in BRSR, but the difference between an average BRSR and a strong BRSR is this. Can the company clearly defend why those issues are material, who validated them, and how they link to KPIs, targets, and evidence? Simple example. If a factory's biggest real issues are energy, safety, and hazardous waste, but the ESG report talks mostly about plantation drives and volunteering, people will feel it's PR? Materiality prevents that. It keeps ESG grounded in reality. Now, impact on ESG ratings. Here's an important point. Most ESG rating agencies do not score random ESG activities. They score the topics that are material for that industry. So, in industrial manufacturing, for example, raters typically care a lot about energy and emissions waste and hazardous materials, worker health and safety supplier practices, and governance controls. So how does materiality help ratings? Not because the materiality document itself gets a big score, but because materiality drives 3 rating-friendly outcomes, balls. Number 1, better priorities. You invest time and money where it matters. Number 2, better disclosure. Your ESG story becomes structured material topics to KPIs, to targets to progress to evidence. Number 3, better proof. Policies, controls, audits, corrective actions, and fewer controversies. So, materiality is like a compass. It doesn't move the ship by itself, but it makes sure you're sailing in the right direction. Now, how materiality helps ESG reports and ESG ratings together. Materiality becomes the table of contents of your ESG report, and it also becomes the backbone of your BRSR narrative. A strong ESG report usually flows like this. These are our material topics. This is why they matter. This is how we manage them. These are the KPIs and targets. This is the progress backed by evidence. And that same structure makes it easier for rating agencies because you're giving them what they need in a clear way. Layman example. If a company says, safety is material but doesn't show injury rates, training coverage, contractor controls, and corrective actions, then the statement is weak. Materiality plus KPIs plus evidence, that's credibility. Now, one of the most common questions. What is the weightage of materiality in ESG ratings? Here's the honest answer. There is usually no single fixed weight like materiality equals 10%. Instead, the weights are usually on the topics like emissions, safety, governance, because those topics are what rating models score heavily. So, materiality doesn't get a direct weight, but it strongly influences how well you perform on the weighted topics. A simple line you can remember is this. Materiality is not a scoring item. It is a scoring driver. Finally, how to conduct it. A general idea. Step 1. Build a topic list. Energy, emissions, water, waste, safety, labor, supplier practices, ethics, whatever is relevant to your industry. Step 2. Identify stakeholders. Internal, leadership, operations, EHS, HR, procurement, quality, finance, compliance. External, customers, suppliers, lenders, community, depending on relevance. Step 3. Collect inputs through interviews, surveys, workshops. What matters most? What is risky? What is impactful? Step 4. Prioritize. Each S, each 2P. Single materiality prioritizes based on financial impact and likelihood. Double materiality prioritizes based on both impact and financial perspectives. Step 5. Validate with leadership. Very important. Materiality needs senior sign-off. Step 6. Convert into KPIs and reporting. Each material topic needs an owner, a KPI, a target, and a data source. And that's it. That's the whole idea. Alright, quick recap before we close. Single materiality is ESG issues that affect the company's financial performance. Double materiality is ESG issues that affect the company and the world. BRSR has already pushed companies to start materiality thinking, and many companies are trying to catch the essence. The next step is doing it in a more structured, defensible way with stronger stakeholder coverage, clearer prioritization, and stronger KPI and evidence linkage. Materiality is important because it gives focus and credibility. It helps ESG ratings by aligning actions with high-weight topics. And it improves ESG reporting by connecting priorities to KPIs and evidence. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.